The concept that the language we speak shapes the very architecture of our thoughts is known as linguistic relativity, or the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. While the radical version of this theory that language strictly determines what we are capable of thinking has been largely dismissed, the modern version is supported by a mountain of empirical evidence. This suggests that language acts as a set of habits, a cognitive lens that directs our attention towards specific aspects of reality while allowing others to fade into the background. When you speak a language, you're not just using different labels for the same world. You're using a specific mental toolkit that prioritizes certain types of information processing over others. One of the most profound examples of this is how we navigate space and direction. In most Western languages, we use egocentric coordinates like left, right, forward, and backward. If you turn around, these directions change relative to your body. However, in the Cook-Thaayore language spoken by an Aboriginal community in Australia, speakers use absolute cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west for everything. To speak this way, your brain must maintain a constant subconscious map of your orientation to the Earth's magnetic poles. Studies by cognitive scientist Lera Boroditsky showed that these speakers can stay oriented even in windowless rooms or unfamiliar landscapes, a feat English speakers fail at because their language does not demand that specific cognitive upkeep. Color perception provides another window into this phenomenon. Different languages divide the visual spectrum in different ways. In English, we have a single category for blue. In Russian, however, it is mandatory to distinguish between goluboy, light blue, and siny, dark blue. Research has demonstrated that native Russian speakers are significantly faster at distinguishing shades of blue that cross the goluboy-sine boundary than English speakers are. Their brains are literally primed to notice that specific color shift at a faster speed. Similarly, the Himba people of Namibia have a color category that encompasses both green and some shades of blue. And their ability to distinguish between two shades that look identical to a Westerner but different to them is markedly superior. Language even influences how we assign blame and remember events. English is a highly agentive language. We prefer to say, "He broke the vase," even if it was a complete accident. In languages like Spanish or Japanese, it is more common to use a non-agentive structure, such as "the vase broke" or "the vase broke itself." When participants in a study were shown videos of accidents, English speakers were much better at remembering who was involved, while Spanish and Japanese speakers were better at remembering the event was unintentional. The grammar of their native tongues directed their memory toward different ingredients of the same event. Relative difficulty of languages. When discussing which language is the most difficult to learn, the answer is always relative to your starting point. Linguistic distance. The degree of difference between your native tongue and the target language is the primary factor. For a native English speaker, the Foreign Service Institute (FSI) categorizes languages like Danish, Spanish, and French as relatively easy, sharing a vast amount of vocabulary and familiar structures. Moving into the middle ground, languages like Russian or Hindi are considered more difficult. The difficulty here often lies in complex inflectional morphology. Russian, for instance, utilizes 6 grammatical cases, meaning the ending of a noun changes depending on its role in a sentence. For an English speaker used to rigid word order, learning to track these shifting word endings is a significant cognitive lift. The most challenging languages for English speakers include Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, and Korean. Mandarin Chinese is often cited as the most difficult due to its tonal nature and logographic writing system. In Mandarin, a slight change in pitch can turn a word meaning mother into a word meaning horse. Furthermore, learning to read requires memorizing thousands of individual characters rather than an alphabet. Japanese presents a unique challenge because it uses 3 different writing systems and a complex system of honorifics where the entire grammar changes based on social hierarchy. Conversely, for a native speaker of Mandarin, English is notoriously difficult. While English has relatively simple morphology, its phonology and orthography are a nightmare. English has 12 to 15 distinct vowel sounds compared to Mandarin's 6, and its spelling system is historically inconsistent. A Mandarin speaker might find it illogical that tough, though, through, and thorough are spelled similarly but pronounced differently. Ultimately, the hardest language is usually the one with the fewest anchors to your own. Our native language sets the baseline for what we consider logical, and stepping outside that baseline requires not just learning new words, but temporarily adopting an entirely different way of processing the world.